Hello and welcome to Fierce. This program celebrates the diversity of LGBTIQ identities and perspectives. Fierce is produced in Bundjalung country at 2NCR Lismore and can also be heard on podcast at fiercefm.podbean.com and in New Zealand on Fresh FM, as well as all over Australia through the Community Radio Network.
Fierce FM on Spotify and YouTube.
I want to honour the traditional owners of the lands where you are living. They took care of these lands for thousands and thousands of years and then shared this land with us at great cost to their own lives. I want to thank them for the care they have given and continue to give, to sit on the earth, listen and care for country. I also want to thank the fairies and crones who came before us in history to fight for our human right to love fiercely.
E nakua, ke amakua, ke O Kahiko. Molokai nui a hina. Aloha. Aloha. Mahalo.
Kumu Pa'a Kawika, who is from a traditional Hawaiian lineage of 51 generations from Molokai, one of the oldest unbroken lineages. Kawika, you're a teacher and you're living in Dungog. Were you brought up in Hawaii?
I was born on the island of Oahu in the land district of Hawaii Nei. I was adopted outside of my Hawaiian family. When I was 5 years old, we moved to Costa Rica. We moved back to the mainland United States, to Arizona, Texas, California. I graduated high school and college. And then I made my way back to Hawaii in my 20s.
Wow. I went to Hawaii in my 20s. And at that time, Janet Jackson's Pleasure Principle was out. We were just in the main island, which I imagine has changed so much. What I was experiencing was the surfy culture of hang loose and the beauty of the island, which is impossible to not be connected to in a way of aloha, transmuted by that beauty that you're faced with there. What was it like for you going there at 20?
That was a moment in my life to reconnect with my cultural heritage. I spent a year on the island of Oahu attending the university. Summer of 2007, I made my way to the island of Molokai to spend some time with my father when I met my teacher, whose name is Kumu Pa'a Lawrence Kalaimea Kamani Aki. He's the 50th generation, and that's when I committed myself to our lineage and to the teachings and spirituality of my ancestry. I moved into the valley of Halava, which is the valley that my teacher was born from. Lived with him full-time, 7 years, full-time.
7-year apprenticeship. So that's a bit longer than we do it here in Western culture. Was it kind of like the Karate Kid where you were like, wax on, wax off, come on, this is boring?
There were moments that were quite difficult. The chanting, the olis, the mo'olelos, the stories, the hula, the dance, medicinal plants and medicines, healing touch. All of it was taught repetitive oral method.
What spiritual awakening did you open up another door?
I was born with it and was fortunate to have been raised in a family that nurtured that facet of my being. When I committed to the lineage to learn it in the traditional manner, there were several moments of connection. For example, the kapukai ceremony is something that you prepare for to be under the moon, have the presence of Hina. She's the goddess of the moon. She's also the mother and the goddess of the island of Molokai. She gave birth to the island itself. Just as an example of connecting and reawakening my ability and my senses to explore the spirituality of my ancestors, that was one of those moments of complete change.
Your teacher's teacher can blow and heal broken bones with their ha.
My teacher's experience of healing in his youth, he was in a horrible car accident. It broke his spine. He was in a hospital for 9 months. Every day, his grandmother would come in his hospital room and they would turn him over. She would speak, use her breath, and move vertebrae of his spine back into alignment. That's just the surface of the healing work that we've been trained to do. We call it tu'olelo, to speak, persuading, reminding components of your body that are not where they should be to be where they belong. So it's almost like you're enticing them back to where they know they should be.
Dr. Joe Dispenza, neuroscientist, had the same problem with his spine, knew that our body's made to heal. So he did 3 hours of meditation in his own way and walked.
Those skills, those abilities that are given to us.
Yeah, we're a spirit in a human body, and we've all got the main guide or ancestors coming in to help us as well.
That's correct.
Tell us about that deeper connection that you experienced when you said you were transformed. When you said that, it reminded me of when my mother died. That was so painful. I had no choice but to really reach to spirit and try and find a way to still connect with my mum. And I found a way. My experience of my mum now is that she's so much more. She can love me more unconditionally now than she could in life. It sounds like that's what you went through in a way. It's almost like you've crossed the veil to become more than just who you were as a human.
We call it in our language aka. It's an invisible, translucent line of communication that we have on Earth to everything in this universe, seen and unseen, known and unknown. One of the principal understandings is that there is no separation ever. When we're talking about our family, whether they're here in the physical realm or they're in the spiritual realm, which we call po, we include the wind and the trees and the river and the waterfall and the ocean and the sun and the moon and the stars, the clouds, everything. Ohana, that's family to us. That's the connection that we're actually talking about. We're remembering the significance of our birth and the connection that we have with everything around us. Understanding that familial connection, we operate and we engage with aloha, which is unconditional love. It's much more than a word that's utilized today in greeting. Aloha is a way of life. It's a way of thinking. We are engaging and nurturing the relationships that we have to everyone and everything around us with the understanding that it is family, it is kin to us. Now we're able to engage with those connections with what we call aloha. For example, you and I have literally just met each other through a screen. We are connected now. I engage with you as I do with the rest of my family with love.
This deeper connection that only a few remember from the oldest unbroken lineage. So it's not like it's common knowledge in Hawaii at this stage. I hear the culture's coming back from colonization and the Christian elements. A lot of knowledge that you're sharing has been lost.
In the 70s and 80s, there was really a big Hawaiian renaissance and a resurgence of the practice of culture and the speaking of the language for many Hawaiians to reconnect with their ancestral knowledge. Many of the younger generations are willing and are open to making that connection with their heritage.
Do you have any inkling about what it was like for your ancestors during those times where they were forbidden from aloha?
It started with colonization, foreign religion, politics.
A bit like Tibet and China. And
Yeah, the stories of the effects of colonization and what happens when foreign ideas that are in a dominant, aggressive path, those stories are the same throughout any culture, really.
yeah.
The Queen of Hawaii killed Captain Cook.
Yes, but we didn't eat him. Okay?
Oh,
we weren't cannibals, okay? We leave that to some of our other Polynesian family members. The Hawaiians of that time period were responsible for his death.
Yay!
I heard it was she ate his little wiener thing, but anyway. Tongans are cannibals, and they've still got a king and their culture.
All of Polynesia is one family. We're talking about migrations of people from Indonesia into places like Java, Lapita, Samoa, Tonga, Tahiti, the Marquesas Islands, and then finally over to the Hawaiian Islands. So we're all family.
We never do die anyway, so if someone likes a bit of human, so be it. We just all go back to energy.
Do you have any inkling of what life was like back then? Was it like Avatar?
Avatar took some notes from native cultures. Life for our ancestors was very different. Life for our ancestors was peaceful. It was aloha, pono. Everything was as it should be. The connection was there, and you engaged with one another openly with nothing but unconditional love.
So we're going to go to a song, and it's you singing a cappella.
I had recently taken a photo of the sun creating a halo around my head, and I posted it. One of my dear friends typed the words, "I can see your halo." Catherine Farrell, this is a shout out to you. This is my version of Beyonce's Halo. Remember those walls I built? Well, baby, they're tumbling down. And they didn't even put up a fight. They didn't even make up a sound. I found a way to let you in, but I never really had a doubt. Standing in the light of your halo, I've got my angel now. It's like I've been awakened. Every rule I had you breaking is the risk that I'm taking. I ain't never gonna shut you out. Everywhere I'm looking now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can see your halo. I pray you won't fade away. 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 Away. Fade away. Fade away. Baby, I can see your halo. I pray you won't fade away.
Aloha, fierce listeners. I'm Charlie Snow. I teach Hawaiian lomi lomi massage all over Australia with permission from respected Hawaiian elder Papa K, and I offer sessions in Mullumbimby, and you are listening to Fierce FM.
Aloha, I am Kumu Pa'a Kawika Foster. I share the traditional teachings and spirituality of my Hawaiian ancestry, and you are listening to Fierce FM.
I have to go because I'm going to be in big trouble from one. They're beautiful.
Kawika, the four pillars of knowing. You've got Po, which is the darkness, Ao, for the light, and then Pa'a, which I love. I'm thinking about changing my name to Pa'a.
Okay.
Because it's Peter, but Pa'a is so much better. And then Aka, which you've talked about a bit already. So the dark and the light. Love is all there is. Let me learn from you. Tell us the difference between the dark and the light in your culture.
Po is the place of our origin, where we were born from, darkness. It is also the realm of our ancestors. From Po, the darkness, born is A'o, the light. And it's through that birth that now Po, the darkness, and A'o, the light, are one. When we pass on, when we die, our spirit re-enters into Po. We ourselves are born into the light. We are born carrying the light. And the light is that reminder of that connection that we have.
When our loved ones pass, they go into the darkness, but they're with us. They're not separate from us. Are they one with each other, or are they keeping their own mana?
When our ancestors pass on and they enter into the realm of Po, their spirit enters into Po. We continue to maintain a relationship with them through our prayers, through our dancing, through our chanting, actually everyday conversation. Their spirit remains intact. It just moves. In the realm of Po, there are many different levels, and we enter as spirit into the realm of Po onto the level that we achieve here in the living. Their spirit remains intact.
What are your beliefs around them coming back in reincarnation?
We have what we call Aumakua, our guardians. These are particular ancestral spirits that can choose to re-enter into this physical realm through different body forms, through the winds, a particular animal, whether it's a mano, a shark, or it's a pueo, the owl. Our spirit is able to re-enter these physical forms in order to give us guidance, show us different signs. In the ancestral belief of our lineage, there's no concept of reincarnation as you understand it. We pass on, we stay on, keep moving in that direction.
For example, my mum is not going to come back in reincarnation, and she's entered into the Po at the level that she achieved on this life. So then is she living a life there where she is evolving up levels? Or is she going to be staying in that one level? And what about if I go up to a level higher than her? That's so arrogant. Would I see her?
No level is better than the other. They're just different. For those of us that remember our ancestors here in the physical, continue to communicate with them when we pray to them, ask them for aid or guidance, they're in that place on that level to be able to offer that assistance should we require it.
I've heard you speak about the power of prayer, how you stay connected to ao makawa and family, ohana.
Prayer in our culture has many different forms. The spoken prayer, where we pray with our words. Olis, the chants, for example, are also prayers. The hula, the dance, is also a prayer. We use the power of prayer to maintain that connection. In the old days, you prayed for everything. Our ancestors were praying all the time. The way that I learned how to pray, I would be praying while I was removing weeds from taro patches. You can pray while you're sweeping the floor. You can pray while you're washing your dishes, hanging out your laundry. Pray all the time.
I learned Lomi Lomi from Charlie Snow. That is such a beautiful meditation, such a beautiful prayer. I do work with choirs. Quite often working with groups, I get tired and I just need to meditate afterwards. When I do the Lomi Lomi, I'm not tired. I find that really interesting. And I think it's to do with akawa, setting the aloha down and just focusing on that for all that time, that 90-minute session, you know. But we are here, we're a human. Jason's gone to work, but we're having a beautiful aloha between us. You're married with kids and you've got this beautiful family. So what is our job on earth? Even though we're trying to stay connected, and obviously that's a big focus in your life, that spiritual path is a massive art. What's everyone's job on earth? Why are we here?
Okay, well, that's a big question, but it has a very simple answer. We're here to be happy, love one another, to do the best that we can, to make sure that we go there so that when we're done here, we go there, where we continue to offer the love and the support and the guidance to those of our living descendants.
Does that mean that not everyone gets to go there?
That's correct. We call those spirits kolohe, mischievous spirits. It's important to maintain our connection. We are demonstrating our aloha, living in what we call pono. We are pono, so that our spirit doesn't harbor and become heavy, that it remains here in this realm where it continues to do mischievous things.
The Christian upbringing would say that LGBTIQ people are mischievous or wrong and they shouldn't be going to heaven. Same-sex marriage is wrong. Love is love, but not to them. And they also don't like Muslims. And they also banned you from practicing your truth, your pono. Their culture took over. They wouldn't let you speak your language. So that makes me think they're the mischievous ones. Do you have any views on any of that?
Our views on all of that is mahalo, we thank you, and aloha, we love you. It's always been our response to that. When they were preventing us from speaking our language, outlawed it for us to dance our hula, were removing us from our families and preventing us from praying to our ancestors. We said, mahalo, thank you. And we said, aloha, we love you. That's how we survived. When they were trying to take us away from this planet, that was our method of ensuring our survival. So we're very fortunate that our lineage, that our ancestors persevered through those times. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be having this discussion. So every time, you know what I mean? And this is the thing. I'm gonna lighten this up. I'm gonna lighten that up a little bit. Look, this is why we don't get into arguments. Yeah. Arguments can very quickly lead to harsh words, Harsh words can quickly lead to physical altercation, can very quickly lead to death, and death can lead to wars. So we completely refrain. We are continually aware of the possibilities of differences, continually loving those differences that we come into contact with.
The times are still fearful. There's a lot of fear going on right now in the planet. Hawaiian culture is allowed to express, and it's coming back more and more. And the mahu is a big part of that culture. That's the gender that walks in the middle, not male or the female, but the mahu. Could you tell listeners a little bit about that?
In an ancient time, there were no boundaries when it came to sexuality or sexual intimacy. Intimate relationships between men and women were open to the individual. There was nothing in the mindset that restricted an individual from having one partner or multiple partners, from having male partners or female partners. All of it was cherished. This word mahu, it is a word that speaks to that kind of love, the truth of unconditional love. The mahu has a very respected place within our society. It has a very respected and loved and cherished place within our families. We have members of our family that retain that understanding. They're born with it. They're the ones. They got it all.
In many cultures around the world, the people of gender fluidity or mixed gender or middle gender, sometimes there were 6 genders. They were often in spiritual roles of shamanism. They were often thought of as the gatekeepers of the spirit realms and the healing. Was it the same in Hawaii?
It would be inappropriate for me in the space that I'm at to say that one particular gender orientation is more of a gatekeeper than the other. There were gatekeepers and spiritually enlightened beings of all gender types.
What is love to you?
Love is connection in everything that we do, how we think, speak, it's in our actions. And most importantly, it's unconditional. It's for everyone and everything in this universe. And it doesn't have a limit, doesn't run out. We as human beings can make the decision to stop loving, to block our capacity to love. But love itself, aloha, it's infinite, it's eternal. There's no limit to it.
Is sex part of aloha?
Oh, you know what? Sex is a great part of aloha. But sex is just a part of life, period. It's a song, it's a dance, all of its own. And we're capable of demonstrating aloha through sex.
Thank you. Thank you. Listeners might be interested in finding you.
You can find out more about me and the work that I do, trainings, the retreats I offer on my website, manaokahiko.com, MANAOKAHIKO, manaokahiko.com.
It's been a real pleasure to talk to you and connect with you. What song has been with you?
Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Dorothy's original version is my favorite.
How does it hit your heart?
The icon of the Wicked Witch of the West has been with me since I was a little kid.
That was really scary. Her greenness and everything was just, she was nasty. What was your connection to her? What did you feel about it? Did you just go, oh,
I loved it. Look, I've always had an affinity for that power, that magic, that force. I used to enact her melting scene when Dorothy throws a bucket of water on her. I used to do the whole, I'm melting. 2 more. The one scene where she puts them all to sleep with her poppy potion, standing over the big scrying bowl, holding the pestle of her mortar, and she's saying, sleep, sleep. That one. And then the last scene that I just absolutely love is when she's telling her monkeys to fly. Anyway, magic, this sorcery. Mahalo.
I heard of in a lullaby. Somewhere skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. Where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why
Thank you for listening to Fierce. This program celebrates the diversity of LGBTIQ identities and perspectives. Fierce is produced in Bunjalung Country at 2NCR Lismore and can also be heard on podcast at fiercefm.podbean.com and in New Zealand on Fresh FM, as well as all over Australia through the Community Radio Network. Fierce FM on